Ready?
Yes, sirree. Welcome to special edition Sunday live chat. Yes, sir. Silent Hill, the Ascension creator chat with the one and only creator himself, Mr. Stephan Bugaj. And welcome, Stephen. Stefan, what the hell? How can I always mispronounce things?
It was because you were just
Stefan.
telling me Canadians are the king of mispronunciation, so you had to live up to
I've only worked with you for over a year, and
it.
joining us down there, looking lovely today, is Eric Peterson, aka In Quantum, aka my partner in NEKOFACE. Welcome, Eric.
Hey, thanks.
Eric is in Oklahoma at this moment. Stefan, you are in Texas.
I am.
So, what are you doing in Texas?
I was just on some panels at the Austin Film Festival.
It's probably all related to the Silent Hill debut coming up very shortly.
Yeah, I was on two panels and a roundtable about writing for interactive. So, Austin Film Festival is a very writer-centric film festival. So, talking with the folks in the audience about how we do what we do.
It's exciting, and it's only 2 days away from the launch of Silent Hill Ascension. And I mean, this has got to feel great for you. Is this like your baby, like that you've seen come all the way to fruition?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been there since very early on. Jacob Navok, founder and CEO of GenVid, co-founder and CEO of GenVid, has been on even longer than I have. But I pitched the basics of the story almost 2 years ago, maybe 18 months, 2 years. I don't know. Time flies when you're working this hard. And have seen it from 3 paragraphs to something that's going to be going live on Halloween night.
That's incredible. Um, and I've been lucky enough to have an NDA where I couldn't say a word about it with Eric for what, over a year. And
Yeah.
it was great because super happy to hear how it was coming along and developing along the way, right from I don't know how early we were pulled in as far as like the discussions for the music department was concerned, but it was compelling right off the bat. Were we called in after you'd all had it all together, or is it still work in progress at this point?
It
Uh,
was still very much a work in progress when we called you guys in. We were halfway, or maybe a little less than halfway through to where we are now, and we were still really we had developed most of the characters and kind of the basics of the plot, but we had not written any of the scripts, and there were still revisions going on to some of the characters, some of the monsters. So yeah, like when we brought you guys in, we were still very deep in development, and wanted to have the score be something that was kind of developed really early on, as opposed to waiting until after we had done writing or even filming and having you guys come in, but have it be an iterative loop where we're talking back and forth about these characters and story events as we were creating them.
I was at first when you contacted me, I wasn't sure if it was real or not because you said, "Oh, you got to sign an NDA," and I thought like, "Wow, I wonder what this will be about." And then when you told me, it was so thrilling to hear, the entire, how you're building this conceptual. I mean, what can you call this? You can't really call it just a video game. It's like a TV series video
No,
game. Can call it.
yeah, we don't call it a video game at all. Yeah, we call it a streaming series. I call them a socially interactive streaming series because the audience collectively together are making story decisions about what's going to happen the next day or the next week. And so every day the audience can come in, make decisions collectively together what's going to happen, and the next day when that pays off, all of that, like the choice that was made, is canon for everyone, and everyone sees the same thing. So socially interactive streaming series, that is what we are calling them. And yeah, it's been a lot of work, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm hoping people will be as into it as we have been.
It sure looks good, and it's important to point out that this is all uh, what do you call it? Digital animation?
Yeah, it's all being done in Unreal Engine. It's a game engine, but it's not necessarily a game. It's more of this streaming series that you interact with collectively, an audience. And another cool thing that's happening is so the audience comes in, you've got points that you can earn by participating in the rest of the experience, and you place points on the decisions, the choices that you're most interested in. When that decision closes out, the choice is made based on all of the input from everyone in the audience, and that becomes the story canon. So every day, the story is branching based on the choices the whole audience made together. And then at the end of each week, we're doing something cool, which is we're cutting it together into a TV episode that's
Wow.
going to be shown on Sony Pictures Core. So the interactive audience who's interacting with the story every day are curating the outcomes that are going to be shown in a narrative TV show, which is something that's never been done before.
That's so cool. So, I mean, we're so essentially the public is writing the outcome of the series.
Yeah, they're deciding. It's they
They're
make the
deciding.
decisions. They make the decisions about what's going to happen, and then that sticks. It's canon. You can't log onto a different server and try it a different path. You can't roll back and try again. You have to be there daily to participate in these decisions and see the moment decisions that you're interested in happen. But these decisions, the choices and the decisions also drive the character's fates. So the decisions that you make, and also there's a system called Hope, where by participating in the daily endurance scenes, where the characters are in um, horrible situations trying to survive, and that's more of a action kind of thing. That gives the characters hope that goes up and down, and the mixture of hope and fate determine whether these characters are going to survive all kind of all right, kind of not so all right,
I smile.
or not survive at all. So
Knowing Silent Hill, I don't know. Gee, that'll be a mystery. But so the characters, are you? Is it integrated in such a way that you want to personify one of the characters that we see as now being you sort of like play through certain people such as Eric. Eric, is that you? It isn't
there's Eric. It,
That's
it's
a close resemblance.
close. Well, we
it's
have Rachel, Eric. We've got
Toby,
Toby. We've got
Xavier.
Xavier, Astrid,
Yep.
Carl, and how do people integrate? Is it like that you feel, is there any personal involvement between you as the player and these characters?
So there is and there isn't. It's not so much like we're asking you to directly role play one of these characters. It's rather that you, as an entire audience, are collaborating with the people who agree with you what they think should happen in terms of a character making a choice at any given time and what direction that'll push their fate, and competing against the people who disagree. And there's a rally mechanic that will give bonus points towards the decision, the choice you'd like to see made in the decision, that lets you kind of rally other people in the audience around that. So you're really at the story decision level. The choices, the decisions are being made by these characters, and you are deciding what you want them to do and how that's going to impact their moment to moment story unfolding and also their fate. But you're not picking up a joystick and playing any one of these characters. But what you can do as an audience member is you can also create your own avatar, and there's an opportunity to enter cameo contests. And if you win the cameo contest, then your avatar will be a character in one of the scenes.
Oh, that's incredible. So it's really about interactivity in a new way. I think you said that. I don't think that anything. How does this different from Bandersnatch or Black Mirror?
So Bandersnatch, that Black Mirror episode, a Telltale game, those were experiences where there's one player making choices for themselves, going through a personal journey through that story that's their own. So I might make different choices in Bandersnatch than you, Kevin, than Eric, and have a somewhat different experience going through that. In what we're doing with Silent Hill Ascension, you, Kevin, Eric, myself, we would all make a choice of what we would like that character to do, and so would millions of other people. And then when that choice closes, the one that has the most points, that's the decision that everyone in the audience sees. So you're creating an unfolding canon that's shared by the entire audience rather than having like a personal single user experience.
That's
Oh,
that's
yeah. Just a quick question. So how much is this, with the growth of streaming platforms like Twitch and so forth, is that somebody familiar with subscribing to Twitch streamers sort of, is that something you can draw a parallel, but to the next level?
Totally. You can definitely draw a parallel to that in a couple of ways. One, the idea of an entire audience um, arguing with each other and then making decisions about what's going to happen in an interactive experience is very much inspired by things like Twitch plays Pokemon. What we're doing is different because it's narrative decisions. And like one of the things I say to people who are, let's say, TV or comic book fans, I'm like, you can yell at the TV all you want. You can do a letter writing campaign to the publishers of the comic book all you want, and they don't have to listen to you. And the TV is definitely not going to listen to you yelling at it. But our system is designed to listen. So when you put your points down on a choice, it's listening. Is listening to everyone in the world and then taking that aggregate result. And then that decision was that everyone sees. That's the canon. Um, Another way in which it's like a Twitch kind of experience is we've got chat that's live. So you can argue with everyone that's also participating at any given time about what's going on, what choice you believe is the right one in the current decision or decisions, and debate all this stuff. And that brings that water cooler or make a YouTube video about it energy that we saw when I was at Telltale, where people would debate which choice everyone should have made and how they felt about the potential outcomes of decisions that were made and so on. That now happens in real time in our chat amongst the audience, and then you're while the decision is still being made. So you can argue about it while it still matters. You can also argue about it afterwards, but you can definitely argue about it while it still matters. And then our season pass system is also modeled after the kind of experience that you get when subscribing to a Twitch channel. All of the core content is free, so you can participate in every story decision, and that's not paywalled. But when you subscribe to a season pass or the founders pack, that'll only be available at the beginning of the experience in the coming few days. That gets you additional stickers and cosmetics and things like that that enable you to better participate, have more fun in like Twitch chat. So it's like subscribing to a Twitch channel where you get extra cosmetics and so on for participating, and you also can get extra influence points in case you don't want to or aren't able to play the puzzles each day by buying a season pass or just buying a point pack of influence points. But it's not pay to participate in the core loop. So like Twitch channel subscriptions, you get more if you're a season pass holder, but you can still have the core experience and all of the fun that everyone else is having. If you don't, you get to have some more fun if you subscribe to the season pack or the founders pack, because you get extra cool things to play with.
And ascension.com leads you to the sign up here.
That's
And
right.
it's basically now you were saying it's on a multiple number of platforms. How do people people understand what platform is this on?
Sure. If you're on a desktop, then you would go to ascension.com and you would go to play it in your browser or to interact with it in your browser. On iOS and Android, there is a app so that when you go to ascension.com with your mobile device, it will take you to a download where you'll download an Ascension app that you'll then be able to interact with the experience using the app.
Excellent. Is I was sort of feeling like, is there also components of this experience that do actually require some sort of level of skill or playing? Or is it just,
Not really, not in the sense of like a traditional video game.
yeah,
The endurance scenes have some that more of the experience of a traditional video game. It's a bit like um, a mobile tapper kind of experience. I call it tap ballet or visual rhythm tapper, but you're having some kind of skill-based interactions on top of the scene that's playing, the horror scene, the endurance scene, and everyone in the audience who's doing that, their contributions towards that scene determine whether or not the character comes out of that endurance scene with lowered hope or raised hope. So that's the thing that's most like a traditional video game, but we're
yeah.
designing something that's intended to be played or experienced by millions of people simultaneously. So our designs are different than in a traditional game. And what the real meat and potatoes of what we're delivering to the audience is the interact with the story decisions and to participate in those. And again, compete with those that disagree with you and collaborate those that agree with you to try and see the choice made that you'd like.
It
Yeah.
looks pretty
What I
scary.
really like,
I mean, if
yeah.
you, anyone knows about the story of Silent Hill, it's not usually a good place to wind up.
No.
Exactly.
And it doesn't look to be it's going to be any safer. But I don't know. Is there any light?
There is light at the end of the tunnel in that
That monster.
the audience can steer the characters towards a more positive fate. Um, in the Silent Hill tradition, it is possible for the protagonist, or in our case, multiple protagonists, to survive with a little bit of hope and a little bit of redemption out the other end. But yeah, I mean, in general, Silent Hill is a scary place. This is going to be scary. It's a great psychological horror franchise, and we're excited both to have people who already love Silent Hill participating, but also people who maybe are totally new to the franchise but are horror fans. And we're already seeing some of that with younger people signing up for the pre-registration, and also people from places like Brazil that there certainly are people in places like Brazil that have played the Silent Hill core games, but not necessarily as many as in North America. So there's also a lot of new fans who this might be their first Silent Hill experience. And that's something we're really excited about with the Ascension project is our experience, because it has a low technological barrier of entry, can bring the Silent Hill franchise to geographical locations in the world and audience demographics, even here in the States, that maybe have never played any Silent Hill games before. Maybe they've seen the movie, maybe they were born after the movie, and expand that audience. And hopefully, then some of those people will get excited and go check out all of the games and the movies.
That's amazing. I mean, that meeting that we all had the other day with the little sort of like meeting with Jacob, which was, I guess he's, what do we call him? The big boss?
The CEO of Genvid, yeah.
Yeah, the CEO of Genvid. The news that he was saying was just so positive, and it seems that it is being showing, like as you were saying, in places that you wouldn't expect it to be. So is that because that people can play it on an Android phone as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because it works on mobile, you don't need either a big heavy duty gaming PC or a console to be involved in participating in Silent Hill Ascension. You can be an audience member on your Android device, your iOS device. You can choose also to just watch it. I think that you're going to have a lot more fun interacting with it and
Yeah, for sure.
participating in those story decisions, but you can also just watch it. And like, so it's an opportunity for people who've never been able to play a Silent Hill game before, whether because they're not old enough or they were somewhere where it wasn't released or it was very expensive to buy a console, and that part of the world is more common to have nowadays a mobile device. They can all enjoy the Silent Hill
Does that mean that you will produce dialogue?
experience and be a part of it, be a part of those decisions.
Yeah.
Are you?
So we are doing subtitle localization for certain regions.
Oh, okay, great.
We
Yeah.
yeah, we were ready. We're doing Spanish, Japanese, and then because of pre-registration numbers being so large in Brazil, Brazilian Portuguese.
That's awesome. That is
Incredible.
fantastic.
How did you choose which way you were going to proceed with this idea?
That is, it's definitely a lot like asking a composer how you chose where to take a song. Um, and it, you know,
Sorry.
it it's based on an understanding of story and how to develop stories. But more specifically, we we're all fans of the Silent Hill franchise. We kind of knew where had gone before, and we knew that we and Konami wanted to do something new. So we dug into the ideas that would fit with our format, which is something that a lot of people are experiencing together. And so we came up with the idea of there's multiple protagonist characters and there's more than one location, neither of which are the traditional town of Silent Hill. And the themes and the concepts and so on that we're dealing with kind of guided the story from there. And we did all of this in collaboration with Konami, who really wanted us to take things in a new direction. And so that gave us the freedom to develop these new characters that you'll get to meet and these new monsters that you'll get to be afraid of on this story that is still very much a story in the heritage of the previous Silent Hill experiences and the games and the movies, but will be something new for this audience and bring in new people. And so, we knew what we wanted our themes to be. We knew what we wanted to do in terms of having an experience that reflected the idea that a socially interactive streaming series is something that you do as a group around the world. That there's going to be a social component. People are going to chat about this thing while these decisions are still being made. And we wanted to play with all of that stuff. So once we knew that, then we did exactly what you guys do when you're composing songs, which is we laid some stuff down, looked at it, and went, that's terrible, and did it all over again until we liked it.
The writing, Stephan, I have to give props to your writers. I don't know if it's Canon and you, but it's really good. Like the
Yeah,
script is fantastic.
thank you. Yeah, the writing team. I mean, for a project like this, the writing is a team sport. So Shannon Inglis, our lead writer, myself, Martin Montgomery, the creative director on the project, and then a whole team of writers that all came together and worked on this over the course of the whole length of the project. There were about 16 to 20 writers and narrative designers who, at various different points in the history of the project, worked on it. And so, yeah, it's been it's been a big effort, but I'm glad to hear that you guys think it's paying off, and hopefully the audience will as well. Because you know, the other disciplines in the team are writing's first audience, and I'm glad that it inspired you guys to make such awesome soundtracks.
Thank you so much. I am just so thankful that you contacted me to like actually roll this ball because I don't think there can be anything more suitable than Silent Hill. It really, when I came to think about it, it just has that right bit of sadness and you're trapped and everything. And then I just recently also had been developing a partnership with Eric where we had been strolling in this direction. And I was wondering where this could lead, and you came around at that exact time, and I thought this just has to be fate. And interacting with you guys once it started and everything was what was amazing, and we should give big ups to the weekly meetings. Pretty darn inspiring, and I will say this was a kind of like a regular look onto a Friday meeting here, and we can big up Evan Chen, and there's
Yeah.
Steph, and there's Max Wang, there's Ayoko Yamaguchi, Eric Peterson, Shawnee Ut. How do you pronounce Shawnee's last name?
I believe it's Uth.
Ut? Yeah. Jacob, that's the CEO, popping in to give us the good news. And that guy at the bottom at the right, I've seen him before. I don't know who he is. But what do we call this? Do we call this a part of were we the music department?
Yeah, I mean, you and Eric basically were the core of the music department, and the larger group is the audio department. The way that we're working, Max and Evan will take the material you've created, both the stuff that you've arranged and mixed as full tracks, but also the stems for all of you producer nerds out there, and use those in various different ways throughout the experience.
Yeah, and Chani and Max they're like the expert audio editor dudes.
Yeah, they're over at Bad Robot Games, who are one of our partners on creating Silent Hill Ascension.
Bad Robot, yeah.
So, so Evan is the audio director. Max works under him, and yeah, they do not just the music, but they're also the team responsible for all of the scary noises and the footsteps and making sure the
So
vocal
great.
mix is correct and so on. So yeah.
It's
Amazing team, that's for
amazing.
sure.
It's like I feel like right now that we've worked on this for like a year and something, that basically I feel like we could do anything. Especially so this is it takes collaboration between whole bunches of people to get this all together. Let's should what big up Bad Robot Behavior, DJ2 Entertainment, Genvid. By the way,
Yeah.
which one are you still with or with? You really move up quickly. Oh, it's NEKOFACE logo.
I I was at DJ2 for a long time, and Gen. Oh yeah, yeah. I was at DJ2 for a long time, and then I moved over to Genvid. And yeah, so great partners. NEKOFACE doing the music, Bad Robot, particularly working with us on audio and art. Chris Amaral, the art director over there, is the art director on Silent Hill Ascension. DJ2 and Martian Brothel, involved with writing and narrative design. Behavior, who are a video game development company based out of Canada, another Canadian connection,
Excellent.
did they did all of the in-engine technology, integrated the animations and so on. Basically, the core engine work is at Behavior, and then we've got a company in Argentina we're working with called Senscape, who is doing the mocap through a partner studio of theirs called Animar, and also the cinematics under our cinematics director, Augustine Cortez. So yeah, it definitely takes a village to make a project of this scale, and we are lucky to have had a lot of really great partners to help us bring this vision alive.
You know,
Seeing Stefan, I mean, when I was brought in, Kevin called me and he's like, "Hey, I think it's a Facebook game." I wasn't really sure if it was Farmville or where we're going, but then the day when we found out Silent Hill was amazing.
very
But
thankful.
we started looking at some of the, I mean, people involved. I mean, the credentials is pretty impressive. I mean, yourself, Stefan, Pixar. I mean, you've been working on some major feature films and games in the
Cars.
past.
What you were on the technical and creative team of Cars, The Incredibles. I love The Incredibles. I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
I love The Incredibles too.
That's one of my favorite of all. So yeah, Brave and Wally. Also, Stefan, you're all over the place. AI development with WebMind, multimedia, and what I find the most impressive, and this is where probably the fans here will probably say, "What? How do you do that?" Is you even what did you start with Survival Research Labs?
I very early in my career, I worked with Survival Research Labs. Survival Research Labs was all volunteer organization. I actually lived in Mark Pauline's computer room for a few months when I was much younger, and yeah, we made spectacular mechanical performances, and you know,
Legend.
caused trouble.
He's the king of mechanical monsters, and if you look back at the beginning of industrial music, you will see Mark Pauline and Survival Research Laboratories mentioned as one of the originators, along with Throbbing Gristle and all the rest of the things. It was probably one of the most major U.S. component of early industrial, really, because the scoring, the music that he had with it was atrociously beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, featured in the Industrial Culture Handbook for anyone who
Yes.
remembers and knows about that, which is Vale, who's also based in the Bay Area. But yeah, I mean, and the audio components. First of all, the machines make a lot of noise on their own, so there's part of your ambient soundtrack right there. But
Incredible.
score is created by Matt Heckert, who, when he left SRL, went on to do machine orchestra type performances of his own. GX Jupiter Larson, sometimes known to the world as the Haters,
I know
did a
he's from
lot of
Vancouver.
yeah, absolutely. Did a lot of soundtrack work for SRL performances as well. So it was a really it was an interesting time in the Bay Area at the time, and a interesting way to get my start. I've volunteered at SRL, and I also had an internship with a guy named Dan Mapes, who, among the other things that we were doing the kind of live tour experience for the Billy Idol Cyberpunk album, which then the tour got canceled, so we never got to take that on the road. But it
Wow.
was a crazy kind of frontier town mentality back in the early days of the internet in San Francisco in the early '90s, and I was lucky enough to end up there.
Were you how did you integrate from that world into the world of Pixar and the other worlds, and then how do you leave Pixar to develop other things? Is this something you have a bigger vision that isn't currently being explored, or is there new visions in your mind that you just need to explore?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so how I made the transition. So I also, when I was in San Francisco, was like I was like a web pioneer. Worked on don't shoot me, but one of the first animated advertisements on the web when I was at a company called Clement Mock Designs that became Studio Archetype. We did probably the very first Shockwave game on the web because we were in the same building as Macromedia, and we could get tech support by having Christian, who also an industrial musician, would come over and sit at my desk and we'd work on stuff together. So, but I'd always been interested in the crossover between technology and the arts, which is why I'm an industrial music fan. And so I went from that crazy San Francisco swirl to Bell Laboratories in the Multimedia Communications Research Department. And then I worked in artificial intelligence, also with the idea of working towards some of the things we're finally starting to see come to fruition now, like what we used to call synth thespians and things like that. Although what we did at WebMind/Intelligenesis was more core AGI brain work. We had a variety of different applications in mind. So taking all of that experience, I went to Pixar. Actually, I was hired by a friend who also was involved with survival research labs. So networking through the craziest of channels you could imagine. I went into Pixar on the technical and tech art side, and then I went to film school at Pixar, honed my writing chops, honed my cinematics chops, and then went off to Telltale, Hanson Robotics, and other places. And in terms of like my vision, like GenVid, what GenVid is doing is definitely a big part of my vision since I was younger. And definitely, I mean, Jacob's been working on this on his side for 15 years, which is to bring interactive storytelling to a mass audience and something
That's
that involves the users. And then Jacob had this great vision of making that social, and I was like, that's super excited. And beyond this, I hope to keep creating innovative new games and interactive series.
and it's important to point out that you've been involved with narrative games before, like The Walking Dead and the Game of Thrones, and um, like, and then the Sonic Hedgehog the movie. Is that like sort of like, okay, what one you've got your foot in one water, and one you've got your foot in the other water, and is this sort of like the combination of those two coming
It
together?
is. It absolutely is. Um, yeah, for sure. And also bringing in that social aspect. So the kinds of games or experiences that I love to create are cinematically based, rooted in cinematics. That's why I've gone back and forth between interactive and film and TV. Is like I love the cinematic feel. I love telling stories about characters more so than just plots. And I love storytelling in general. And so that's been that transition back and forth. And then I love working with and creating technology that allows us to do crazier and cooler things in visual and narrative storytelling. So that has always been what I've been gravitating towards for sure.
Are you also the one that oversees the hiring of what team you want to see on what?
Yeah, I mean that is also a shared experience. Arthur Von Nagel, our VP of production, is involved in all of our hiring, and Jacob can get involved as well too. But yeah, for the all of the creative teams, the writers, the composers, the narrative designers, the cinematics directors, those are all folks that came through me.
It's amazing. And
That's
then
awesome.
the one thing that I was really blown away with is that when I first joined, I hadn't really studied or really looked back. I knew the sound of Silent Hill, but I didn't really know the depth of Akira Yamaoka's score. And I was really blown away in the end of like really sort of like finding a serious common ground. And I hope that he would approve of of that because I was really inspired by what he had did what he did, and I think Eric and I wanted to keep it kind of pretty true to form as far as where our inspiration was. But his work and his whole stuff that I was exploring and everything was a great thing to get into. And so I thank you again. And I didn't know either of you guys before this. And so it's been great getting to know both of you and work with you both on things. Eric,
Absolutely.
fantastic relationship with you. And I was going to say that somebody was asking, well, how do we come up with an idea? And I think, Eric, one of our earliest ideas was this
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We went
intro,
back to paper and
go for a
pen,
draw.
and
How about a build rise and then some Silent Hill ambience here at the end? Yeah, that was like
oh,
kind
I
of
love it.
one of our first drawings about conceptual. Oh, I think. Oh, yeah. So yeah, yeah. Someone was asking, how do you approach things like that? Definitely, I was
No,
really blown away with, the amount of directive that you had to. We didn't have to, but you did. You came to the meetings and you pointed us in the right direction, and we weren't scoring to picture, so we basically had to score to imagination, with the help of a few pictures here and there. But basically, it was really up to location, activity, character, and setting, so to speak. So to sort of like bear that all in mind. And that was a really amazing challenge, I thought, as a musician. I
Oh
thought like
yeah.
at this point in my life, being where I'm at, I thought like I have worked on movie projects before, but I didn't think anything was as suitable as this. And so basically, this has just been, you know, now that I guess I can say I finished my role in it because we finished. Eric, I was looking through the folder. I looked at 77 files in there, and some of them were folders with 7 or 8 songs in them. So
Oh yeah.
I have no
There's so
idea.
much
I have no
music.
idea how many pieces were made, but for people wondering, it's like albums and albums and albums worth of stuff. But what I really loved about it is it really defined a personality. And before too long, when I would hear the exchanges going back and forth, I was thinking, oh, that sounds like NEKOFACE. It sounds like for Silent Hill. So uh, in the end, I was really happy with with the project. It made me feel good, and Stephan, I hope that it made you guys feel good. I
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't get fired. That was my biggest concern at
Yeah,
first.
exactly. No, it was great. I love the score stuff that you guys have come up with. I think it does a really good job of feeling like Silent Hill, but also having your own stamp on it. And I do think Yamaoka would approve, not the least reason being which that he, like myself, is a huge Skinny Puppy fan. So he kind of grew up on your work, Kevin, and
Think
directly
so?
referenced it. Yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah, we know
there's
so.
yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I heard a rumor about that. Can you guys back that up? That this is where there's like a reverse inspiration going on here?
And we can back it up in as much as that I've not had the pleasure of working directly with the Yamaoka, but I've definitely heard that he is a fan and um, was inspired by yourself and some of your peers
Oh,
when he was doing the first soundtrack.
Yeah.
well,
Cleanse,
that's
fold, and manipulate was one record that was mentioned
oh,
in
really?
an interview. Yeah, as one of the inspirations. Yeah.
That is
Full
I
amazing.
circle, Kevin.
Yes. I mean, when I was working on the project, I wrote a lot of the pitch and the early treatments and stuff, and then when I was doing dialogue revisions to a score of Skinny Puppy, Download, and then Ghost of Each Room and Music for Cats. So lots of cycles of inspiration going on.
It's important to say that behind you often, and not today because you're in Texas, is a big rack of gear too. So you also love synthesizers and I've heard about a proposed collaboration between you and Eric. So I'm thinking, oh, yay! This should be
Yeah,
much.
absolutely.
Well,
I would love to
we
hear
hope
what type of music.
all three of us, we could put something together at some point.
I think that sounds like completely in order. So
Yeah.
tell us how the day will roll out on Halloween when this game basically opens up. What time does it open up at, or what will go on?
Yeah, so the first live story cinematic experience is going to happen at 6 p.m. Pacific, California time, and 9 p.m. Eastern, New York time. That's when the first cinematic drops. That's when you'll be able to see all of these characters, well, not all of them, but some of these characters, and get to know them, outcomes of a, a decision that will happen actually during that scene. There'll be only one of those, and that's on the first day, because the first day is special because it's the premiere, it's extra long. There's a decision that opens and closes in the same day, which is not going to be any of the rest of them for the rest of the season. They'll always be able to have the opportunity to have at least 24 hours to see the scene that set up the decision and make your choice. And the way that works is if you're not there live at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, because you're busy or you live somewhere else in the world, then you can see the story cinematic that sets up the decisions that are open as a video on demand. You can play it, you can watch it, you can see what everyone saw when they were there live, and then you have the idea of like what's going on, and then you know what choice you want to make for the decision that's going to close the next day, or later that same day if you come and look at that VOD on the same day that the decision is going to close out, and participate. So the only thing that you're really missing by not being there live is the chat experience of watching the premiere of the video live with other people, but you can still participate in the decisions because other than the special decision on the first day, all of the other decisions are open 24 hours, 3 days, 4 days, 7 days, and you can have your time to watch the videos and then decide what you want to make your choice.
So how long does it take to compile what will be then known as an episode that will then go on to be watchable somewhere else?
Because we're doing the outcome decisions, you're seeing them in the cinematic each day, right? You're seeing the branch that was chosen by the audience each day. We're writing out 1/7 of the episode basically each day. So then when the weekends, the editorial job is really assembly and then sending that over to, in the case of Silent Hill Ascension, the Sony Pictures core folks to then schedule to go on their channel live. And so the decisions that the participating audience makes each day interactively creates that TV show, and then we basically can ship it right away. I mean, people have to do work, but it's not. It doesn't take days and days because we've built the pieces already.
It kind of means that for the first time against this TV world, that you actually have to go somewhere at a certain time to watch something if you really want to be involved.
Yeah, and again, you can be there live to enjoy the whole premiere experience, but then for the next 24 hours, or depending on which decision it is, 3, 4, 7 days, you can go at any time. You can watch the video, but you can still participate in the decision. But if you don't participate in the decision during that time window, 24 hours, 3 days, 4 days, 7 days, then you didn't impact the story canon, because once that's decided, that's canon forever. That decision is canon. That's what the story is. That's what gets cut together into the linear TV show that'll be on Sony Pictures Core. And if you were there in that window when the decision was being made, you helped make that happen.
Even I'm excited because, I haven't seen how it plays out, and I haven't seen, with the sound effects that are added to the music. I always think that that is such a beautiful thing. It's like, if it's done right and everything, it builds the songs up to this amazing. Eric, aren't you just blown away watching the trailer and everything? You guys want to check it out? It's
Absolutely.
on YouTube.
Yeah, before we show the trailer, I just want to say one thing about a great anecdote that I loved during the making of Ascension was when early on, Kevin, you of course, I mean, one of the things I've always loved about your work is how you use soundscapes in your music. And in one of those early meetings with the audio team, Evan and Max were like, we're going to have a lot of creepy sound effects in this just because of the need of the game. You can dial that back, and we're going to fill that in based on what's happening in the scene. And you're like, oh yeah, good point.
I've never been so excited. And I got to say, this team, I don't know who's responsible for what, but I've never met any of you physically. Well, Stefan, of course, we've met.
Yeah.
Eric, I've never even met you physically. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody physically, and hopefully, this whole world will do very well. I mean, it kind of seems like it's poised to, but in the meantime, Stefan, you're on tour with this whole concept.
I've been talking
Comic-Con.
Yeah, we were at Comic-Con. We were at San Diego Comic-Con talking about what our socially interactive streaming series are, and we talked about Silent Hill Ascension. We talked about DC Heroes United, and we talked about Borderlands Echovision Live, which are announced projects. And I've had the great opportunity to be able to talk at DevCom in Germany, at CDEC in Japan. I'm here at Austin Film Festival in Texas, And Jacob and I have talked to a lot of folks in the press, and we're excited when people get excited about what we're doing.
Yeah, I saw that you were on one of those schedules where it was like, wait, I have 24 hours in Japan and I have to do this and this and this. It was like, why do you guys do that to yourself? Why don't you plan, I at least spend 2 days before I get to the meeting? It's
Yes.
it's just too strict a schedule, I guess.
Yeah.
But the
It's
one
like,
thing I'm
but
excited about is this Konami. I mean, come on. I love Japan. I love the whole world of what Konami stands for is like for me it's like now you've given me purpose. If I go to Japan and someone says, "Hey, what do you do?" and I said, "Well, I worked on this." They could be like, "You work with Konami?" I'll be like, "Oh my God."
totally,
Yeah, thank
totally,
you for that. And I hope
absolutely.
to meet anybody associated with the organization one day in Japan, because
Absolutely.
what a pleasure.
Yeah.
Did you want to show the trailer, Kevin?
What's that?
Did you still want to show the trailer?
The trailer, yes. Let's do this.
I can feel it.
I will get it
I
up.
just want to add one thing though, Stefan, with the when it comes to the mile or the technology. I mean, I see it totally with the new generation. I mentioned Twitch, but I see a lot of the younger generation do interact hugely with, with the media. So I can definitely see the mile or Genvid's technology and this concept having seen it, and hopefully everybody will love it because I think it's a great medium. It's a next gen medium of entertainment, in my opinion.
Should we be afraid of the medium after that?
I don't think so.
I mean, there could be like real-time bleeding.
I
Yeah, let's watch the trailer. Hope that people can hear the sound.
I can feel it. Your guilt. So thick it chokes the air. You want to know how you can escape from this place. But you can't. Any more than you can escape yourself and the pain you carry. It fills you up like a sickness, a disease that you pass on to everyone you meet, everyone you love, even your children. Because no matter how hard, how fast, how far you run, your past will catch up with you.
Yes. Well, you can't say more than that, really, folks. It's like, even the concept of the face your trauma together, it sounds almost something like Skinny Puppy would do.
totally.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely exciting.
Maybe all the Skinny Puppy fans will refer to the dog-like monster that we highlighted on the Genvid Twitter stream recently as the Deep Down Trauma Hounds.
Oh, really? Yeah. Do I have that? I didn't get that one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send me that one.
Absolutely. For
Yeah.
sure.
Well, so I'm super anxious. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I have to go on tour I think the next day after this launches. So I gather I'm going to be watching this on the road. So I'm going to try and take part in this. And being that I've never really that much of a game, I don't have a console. Do you recommend that I approach it on the laptop?
Yeah, either on the laptop or on your phone. It's being designed and optimized for both, and the the phone experience, because of really are wanting to reach a younger audience, a global audience, is going to be a very good experience. But you can see it well, depending on how good your laptop is, you can see it potentially in a higher resolution on the laptop browser. So yeah.
The resolution looks incredible. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's what is it, all in 4K that it's going to be released eventually?
It, it'll all be in 4K.
Yeah.
On the lower end mobile devices, there's downscaling, but yeah, the all of Silent Hill Ascension is 4K rendered.
Looks amazing. Looks like we got some questions here, if you guys don't mind.
Don't mind.
Yeah, let's see if we can get this. Danny, what's the process of scoring a video game? Do they send you stills, full clips, or just concept art scripting? And does your approach to writing have to shift in any way? Eric, I'm going to let you answer that because you sent me a thing earlier that was amazing.
It's a combination of everything from it's actually an interactive experience too with the team, because when we get art, I mean concept art, there's the scripts, there's small notations like Miro and Confluence is like the mecca behind this, like those platforms. But for us, there was approaching a scenario based situation. If is it dark, is it sad, and who are the characters involved? And then if we had any type of questions related to the scenario, we would check, we'd send an example music to the team, and Stefan would say, no, it needs to have marching drums on it, or or it needs to be more industrial or whatever. But we would have a dialogue between the writers, the creative directors, and the audio team, obviously. And so it's a continuous evolution. I think that after like the first 6 months, we were kind of warm, but then from that on, we had developed the NEKOFACE sound, which is kind of like the whatever cinematic scoring, industrial, whatever you want to call it. But that's how I would describe it. A lot of, concept art, and since nothing was really done in the beginning, here's a picture of X, Y, and Z monster in a scenario, and it moves at this pace. It can jump or it crawls, and so yeah, it was I don't know, it's a morphing type of experience, I think.
Well, I certainly enjoyed working with you, and so
Yeah.
you definitely had the right headspace. What do we got here? Thanks for your question, Danny. Droid Harmony. I'm curious about the sound design aspect of producing music for video games. Are there specific synth software effects that were indispensable for this Silent Hill project? Also, in terms of notes, coming back to your request guidelines from the studio, was there a very specific sonic palette that you stuck with? I'll just say that the inspiration of Akira Yamaoka's original score was kind of essential, and I found for me that the Hydra synth really was loving this, and also the effect unit. The CXM 1978 Chase Bliss reverb it sends it into Fogland world. Just amazing reverb. What about you, Eric?
For me, it was, well, obviously to create the mood, a lot of experimentation with analog synths initially, with different types of reverbs and delays. Like you said, kind of listen and try to understand the scene or the scenario. And then and Kevin, you had some amazing stuff that you sent over to me that didn't really need much. So sometimes it was ultra minimal, and then it just went to an orchestral, violin escapade.
You liked this one. You liked the modulars.
Yes.
And me, and then he turned it into something that would be like unimaginable. So that was great. Great, a great collaborative there, and fun too. It's like never like something that I felt like wasn't fun to hear the results. Gernot, all the way from Germany. On which criteria does the game engine mix the parts to match the unfolding story on the screen? How
Oh,
are
the
How are
The
music and sound
wise,
effects
the wise.
distinguished in a production like this? Assuming that both parts serve very similar purposes and may compete with each other, would love to see some screenshots of how things compose. Oh, you saw that drawing earlier. But no, maybe we should address the first question with Stefan. On which criteria does the game engine mix the parts to match the unfolding story on screen?
So really, that is basically we're not we're not an AI driven like open world experience. Um, our Rival Peak project was, but this one isn't. And so it really is getting the audio team on board with the narrative design, and it really is them setting up triggers basically based on things like the outcomes of the narrative decisions and what path those are taking, which characters are in the scene, and then they look at the cinematic pacing and they put together the material that Kevin and Eric created in a way that makes sense based on what's happening in the scene narratively, and both visually and in terms of theme and tone and which characters and what how the decisions have impacted the scene in terms of outcome.
Yeah.
That's
I want
interesting.
to say working with Adrian also, but a large portion of our involvement was also composing pieces, loops and so forth for the Wise engine, which was, I thought it was some of the more fun stuff because it's like a 12 bar stuff, but
Yeah,
it's hundreds of them. But
yeah, and it plays in, yeah, and it plays into the earlier question too in terms of what we gave you, because we started this journey because there wasn't a lot of visual material yet, talking about themes, which themes in story can become motifs and themes in music, right? And so it was like, who is this character? What is their psychological description? What, in terms of this monster, not just how does it move, but like, why does it exist? What is its uh, personality dimensions, and how can those be turned into sonic themes? So it was a lot of working with and talking through the narrative themes, the character themes of what we were creating, so that you guys could create soundscapes and sound and musical compositions that fit those themes.
Pretty pretty cool. Let's take. Looks like we got one more question here. Electro Spaghetti. What would each of you say is your favorite Silent Hill experience? But first, what does Silent Hill mean to Stefan? That's a good question.
So it is a good question. In terms of emotionally, to me personally, um, it was one of the first horror video game franchises that really grabbed me in terms of being scary as opposed to just being gory or gratuitous. Um,
Right.
and in terms of like sort of philosophically, what does Silent Hill mean? I mean, part of that is left for you to explore as an audience member, interpret how you do. But to me, like any great psychological horror, it's a mirror on our psyches in terms of, what is the darkness within us, and do we dig deeper into it or do we push back against it?
Interesting. Seems we've got a extended question. Does Stefan understand the division in the fandom between the Team Silent original games and the Hijinks studio games?
Oh, sure. What we're doing is something that is new compared to either of those. Um, I like many of the installments of Silent Hill, both in terms of the games and the movies. I am a fan of the franchise overall. Um, I'm pals with Sam Barlow. I think what he did with Shatter's Memories was amazing. I also love the Team Silent era as well. I am a Silent Hill overall franchise fan, and I understand that there is a rift between Team Silent and Hijinks Studios fans to some extent, but I also think there is a large portion of the Silent Hill fan base that just loves whatever people try in terms of interesting new directions for the franchise, working together with Konami. And also, our experience is accessible to psychological horror and monster horror fans who've never experienced Silent Hill before.
Right.
And we are happy to bring those folks on board the franchise as well.
Yeah, if it didn't if it didn't completely connect with you before on another level, this could be the one. And that's what I have to say is the basis of it all, the basis of the worlds, the basis of the settings and stuff is, for me, I mean, it's like conceptually just, exciting being, where it's like working on a Skinny Puppy album. It's like it has a certain level of where you know that this could get really dark, and that makes it fun.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean,
So another question is there any other plans to try and unite the division with this project, or are you focusing more to have the lore line up with the previous Silent Hill entries, and which ones?
I hope that we're going to unite the division by doing something that's completely new, but still builds on the pillars of the what Team Silent started for all of us. And the hijinks folks and other folks, the film folks, etc. We've all been trying to build upon the foundations that Team Silent built for everyone in this that works with Silent Hill and do cool things. So I hope people will get excited about this being something new. It's not a video game; it's an interactive streaming series. You are involved with making these decisions about the story, and I hope that's fun for everyone.
yeah,
And they hired us as the music. How could you lose?
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. That's but it also answered some of the questions. I mean, if for those people who played the Silent Hill 2 back on the PlayStation days, there's a sense of mystery and behind that whole game, and I feel like I now being involved with everybody so much and understanding there is some answers, hint hint, to some of the things possibly, but you start understanding some of the lore much deeper with this, so I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it.
Is there a lot of hidden secrets in this?
Oh, for sure. But
Oh,
I would say that it's digging into um, our window into the Silent Hill world. We're not necessarily answering questions or revealing secrets that were set up in any of the other Silent Hill projects directly, but we're just building on all of the great lore that Konami and partners have created throughout the whole lifetime of the franchise to do something different. Like we're not a extension of, we're not a sequel to any of the previous Silent Hill installments. We're a new story with new characters and new themes, building on the pillars of the Silent Hill franchise. And Konami's been with us every step of the way. They have a very strong vision for what the pillars are that unite the lore across the entire franchise. They have their own opinions about which ones they personally like better or not, but we built on the pillars that Konami gave us as core to the franchise in general, and then worked with them to develop what we're doing that expands that for an experience that is massively multi-user, that has multiple protagonists and multiple locations, and is something exciting and new and different that never before would your decisions in anything, never mind the Silent Hill project, as an audience result in a TV series that
yeah.
you were involved in
Exciting.
shaping. So
I cannot wait. I have a message for Konami. Konami, thank you for everything. 私にとってこの能力は素晴らしいものでした。皆さん、どうもありがとうございました。And I hope to meet you in Japan. And Eric, what's your last thoughts?
Oh, I
Other
mean,
than to go to ascension.com, sign up, and don't miss the launch date on Halloween at 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time.
no, I think the project in itself has been amazing. Everybody involved it just truly shows what teamwork really is capable of doing when you unite creative minds together. And if you follow a goal and a dream, it's there for you. And I think it's a new type of product, but at the same time, I feel like it delivers on a lot of people want more Silent Hill, and I think this is, part of it will definitely feed that need. But as far as the rest, it's been a great pleasure working with you, Stefan, and Kevin, of course. I mean,
Yes.
our relationship and the music we have been able to do together has been life-changing for me. So,
I'm
dream come
very
true
proud
for
of the
sure.
work, and I'm very happy with the relationships with everybody. And I can't wait to hopefully see season number two. Is that ever gonna? Is it possible in the world of this type of series?
It is certainly possible. It's something that, we will have to see how it goes. That's there's
Let's,
yes, there's a possibility, and fans should flock to this one in droves and be excited about this story and know that if they are into it, um, you know, every day there's more to come, and hopefully beyond that. So
I'm
I have to
excited.
add something more there, Stefan. You mentioned on the meeting, which I thought was the best part of it, reaching demographics that have not been able to experience this before. And that is, I mean, that to me is what I think is amazing. You know, that's
that's
What do you
that's
think
one
is
of the.
going to be
uh,
the most obscure area that this game could potentially reach that other games typically don't reach because of the Android stuff?
Um, I think that one of the places, I mean, so there's Brazil, although Brazil has a rapidly growing game a fandom that does have a history, but it's been small and it's growing a lot. Um, Places like India, where most Indian people who have a gaming possible device have a mobile device. And these big, spectacular franchises like Silent Hill or Borderlands or DC Justice League often have not targeted mobile friendly installments. And therefore, there's a lot of people in India who've never played any Silent Hill experience. There's a lot of people in Brazil who've never played any Silent Hill experience. And it's going to be super exciting to take this hopefully to a worldwide audience, which we are definitely seeing a lot of great pre-install numbers particularly in South and Central America, but other places as well. And I'm excited that it's possible, right? Like on Rival Peak, Pac-Man Community, and Walking the Last Mile, we had a lot of hits from India, and that was something that was not initially expected until we saw the numbers come in. And anyone in the world can participate, and so that there's a possibility for pretty much anywhere, right? Like I would be thrilled to see someone from Nepal or Mongolia take their mobile device and experience a Silent Hill for the first time.
Yeah, someone's saying they should get it into prisons. I'm like, well, maybe it will.
Are phones allowed?
It's a good question. I have very little contact with the penal system, so I have no idea.
That was a world that I hadn't considered. But hey, what are you off to next, Stefan? Are you off to another convention or some more talks on the matters?
I'm going to be heading back to LA because tomorrow we are doing more press calls, and actually with tomorrow there's North American and European, but also some Brazilian and Argentinian press. Then Halloween we launch, and also
Right.
I'm a father, so I'm also taking my
Yes.
12-year-old to go see Ash Nico on Halloween night.
Nice.
So and then after that, probably the travel is going to pause for a little while we dig into the other projects that we're developing. I've got writers' rooms that I need to be in and rights holder meetings to keep them abreast of what we're doing with their IP, and cinematics teams meetings and so on. Art team to keep working on building the experiences that are going to come beyond Silent Hill Ascension, but also Silent Hill Ascension starts on Halloween, but Silent Hill Ascension has a number of weeks of show to deliver to you. So of course, we are continually making sure that this thing is up and running and available for everyone to enjoy. I will personally be less involved with that, but I do want to give a shout out to all of the folks on the team who will be every day going in, making sure that your Silent Hill Ascension experience is either working great and feeling great or fixing it if it doesn't. I hope those people don't necessarily get as much appreciation, and I want to just give a shout out to them.
Yeah.
Do they
Definitely.
have a company name?
So a lot of those are going to be folks at GenBid who are responsible for operating.
So we big up
Silent Hill. Yeah, and then like a TV show, we don't necessarily have all of the weeks of content in the can. So our friends at Senscape down in Argentina will be continuing to work on basically filming the forthcoming weeks. And then there's also myself and Martin Schauling, the director of production on Silent Hill Ascension, Arthur and other folks who will be reviewing the cinematics that they come in. Don Thacker, our studio cinematics director, will continue to be making sure that the new material that comes in on Silent Hill Ascension as we get further out into the weeks continues to be excellent. So there is a whole team that will be continuing on that, but in my role, will be now focusing more on developing the next two projects that we've announced.
Right on. Well,
awesome.
I think it's going to be exciting, and nothing better than Halloween. And I think Stephan, we met up once before.
That's us.
Need to meet up again. Go have a nice meal somewhere before or after. Probably after the tour.
Yeah,
I've got you hooked up for the tour, so I hope to see you guys there and meet you in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
But,
big time.
So I do want to say that this has been a great experience. I've really loved working with you guys and with everyone on this project. And sometimes people say, "Oh, you should never meet your heroes." I've been a Skinny Puppy fan since I was a kid, since I found Mind the Perpetual Intercourse in the local record store on tape and went, "What the hell is this?" and fell in love. And Kevin is awesome. He is a super great dude, and sometimes you should meet your heroes because some of them turn out to be really nice people. So there you go.
Thank you so much, Stephan. You're great.
I can attest to that.
Oh,
Except my first was on a copy of a cassette
oh
of
wow.
Remission.
So it's funny. I lived in a small town. I grew up in East Hampton, New York. It is not a big town, and it's well known, but it's not big. And our local record store, for the most part, sucked. It was all what you'd expect. It's Grateful Dead and Beatles and whatever. But my friend Carl and I would go in and we'd buy anything that was unusual. And on the same day, we bought Skinny Puppy and the Dead Milkmen. And so that
I remember those days. There wasn't many
a formative
cool.
experience.
Not as many choices back then as there is now. But you guys, thank you very much for this very, very interesting chat. I've enjoyed it immensely. And yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say the Silent Hill t-shirt, when I originally was sent it, it was gray and it turned black. So is that something to do with the I thought that was a trick or something, but it's a great trick.
I am definitely not the person to talk about t-shirt technology, but I'll inquire.
Actually, I prefer
Mine
black.
did too.
Yours did too. Okay, so it is
Gray to black.
It is a thing.
Nice.
It's gray to black. Okay. That's a thing. Guys, look out for the Silent Hill color changing t-shirts. But Stephan, safe travels to you. We'll talk
Thank you.
on Halloween. Eric, you too.
Yeah.
Guys, have a great day. And all of you on Patreon, thank you for your support and chiming in here with your questions. Have a great time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.